Stefan Füle, Commissioner for Enlargement and European Neighborhood Policy, 27 of June 2013. The world we seek, the rights and freedom of children. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the high-level conference on justice for children, jointly organized by the European Union and the United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF. It is part of our continued support to neighboring and enlargement countries in establishing and reforming these juvenile justice systems. And it's also a reflection of the fact that we care for all children, in fact, for all the children. Before taking stock of the current state of play and what needs to be done in the future, let me underline my strong commitment to implementing the European Union's policy on the promotion and protection of children's rights. This calls for reinforced cooperation with national authorities and civil society that we can ensure that children are treated as fully fledged members of society. There are still many challenges regarding the rights of child and juvenile justice within the EU. In fact, the EU itself has adopted several pieces of legislation relevant to children's justice in recent years. For example, the Directive on Sexual Abuse and Exploitation, the Trafficking Directive, and we intend to propose a new measure on suspects defendants. The participation of enlargement countries in this conference is very relevant because the topic to this conference is priority area for the EU in the cessation process. Indeed, the EU's accused on children's rights and child protection is not limited to Chapter 23 Judiciary and Fundamental Rights. For less than 17 other accused, chapters contain legal instruments that have important provisions on children's rights and protection. Despite some progress, there is still scope for considerable improvement when it comes to children's rights. I am thinking in particular about the need to overcome institutionalization of children and to promote preventive mechanisms in support of families. And our concerns don't just end there. Let me mention 6 other important areas that need to be addressed. Lack of prioritizing children's rights in criminal proceedings, lack of adaptive facilities corresponding to specific needs of juveniles in detention, inefficient free legal aid for juveniles, repressive responses to juvenile offending, lack of effective alternative to detention and hence an overuse of detention, and lack of specific measures for child victims leading to unnecessary trauma and re-victimization. It is why that neighboring and enlarged countries not only adhere to international human rights standards, but they must also ensure the effective implementation of recently adopted criminal justice legislation, which in some countries is very progressive. Support for justice reform is one of core pillars of the European Union external action. It aims at ensuring judicial independence, impartiality, and integrity, increasing the performance, efficiency, accountability, and transparency of the justice sector, improving access to justice for the poorest and the most vulnerable, and improving detention conditions and introducing alternatives to imprisonment. Successful justice reform initiatives are those built on national priorities, enjoying full political commitment and national ownership, as well as reinforced partnerships between civil society and state decision makers. I would like to remind you about the ongoing support that the European Commission is providing in the neighborhood and enlargement countries. In the neighborhood countries, the Commission is supporting juvenile justice reform within the rule of law agenda. In Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, through financial and technical assistance provided by the European Neighborhood and Partnership Instrument. In the enlargement countries, the Commission has been provided support through the Instrument for Accusation Assistance to strengthen child protection measures in general and support assistance for child victims in Croatia in context of child sexual abuse, and juvenile justice systems in particular in Kosovo, Montenegro, former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, and Turkey. Support of civil society working in the area of child protection has also been provided. Enlargement countries are gradually aligning our legislation with the EU acquis. The Commission is monitoring this process intensively, including when it comes to the rights of child in the different chapters. On this point, I would like to underline that data collection is an important part of that monitoring work. The European Commission supports enlargement in neighborhood countries to strengthen their statistical capacity so that the reliable data is available to support modern policy making. We remain committed to supporting projects and policies that enhance child protection systems and strengthen the rights of children, including as victims or in the context of criminal proceedings. Recognizing that juvenile justice reform is key entry point for the promotion and protection of children's rights. EU support in advancing the juvenile justice reform agenda has focused on two areas. First, law reform for the promotion and protection of children's rights, in particular by encouraging and supporting the enactment and review of national legislation to ensure compatibility with relevant international standards on the rights of the child, in particular the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and enhancing the capacity of law enforcement agencies of investigation into the violation of children's rights, and the development of child-friendly procedures in trial and court proceedings. Second, combating discouraging violation of children's rights, in particular by prohibiting violations of children's rights and ill treatment of children in law, including criminal law, and ending opportunity of violation of children's rights, and taking effective legislative, administrative, judicial, and other measures to prevent violation of children's rights under the jurisdiction of the state and combat impunity of such violation. We then work not alone. UNICEF is one of our traditional partners whose vital work in the field is advancing the children's rights agenda in line with international standards, best practices. I am particularly proud of the cooperation that consequence of the Syrian crisis. When I was in Jordan recently, I went to the Zatiri refugee camp and inaugurated a school run by UNICEF and founded by the European Commission. Through this concrete cooperation, we are giving these living in camps a semblance of normal life and opportunity to acquire knowledge for rebuilding their lives. Through innovative approaches, research, know-how, and constant involvement, UNICEF has greatly attributed and advising countries on how to reform their juvenile justice system based on modern legislation, policies, and operation. Today, we have the opportunity to discuss our achievement, but also what remains to be done and how so that children can enjoy their rights and freedoms and states can properly respond to their demands and expectations. This is the world we seek. It is our mutual interest and its common goal. The children deserve nothing less.